My respects, my lord.
Oh, Thomas! I thought you were still asleep.
I've already been for a short gallop to Richmond and back, my lord. There's a divine nip in the air.
To think you actually like the cold.
My prince, I shall dress you myself.
Nobody rubs me down the way that you do, Thomas. What would I do without you? You're a nobleman. Why do you play at being my valet? If I ask my barons to do this, they start civil war.
They'll come round to it in time, when kings have learned to play their role. I'm your servant, my prince, that's all. Helping you to govern or helping you get warm again is part of the same thing to me. I like helping you.
My little Saxon. At the beginning, when I told them I was taking you into my service, do you know what they all said? They said you'd seize the chance to knife me in the back one day.
Did you believe them, my prince?
No, I was a bit scared at first. You know I scare easily, but you look so well brought up. Besides those brutes. However, did you come to speak French without the trace of an English accent?
My parents were able to keep their lands by agreeing to collaborate, as they say, with the king, your father. They sent me to France as a boy to acquire a good French accent.
Oh, to France. Not to Normandy?
That was their one patriotic conceit. They loathed the Norman accent.
Only the accent?
My father was a very severe man. I would never have taken the liberty of questioning him on his personal convictions while he was alive, and his death shed no light on them naturally. He managed, by collaborating, to amass a considerable fortune. As he was a man of rigid principles, I imagine he contrived to do it in accordance with his conscience. That's a little piece of sleight of hand that men of principle are very skilful at in troubled times.
And you?
I, my lord?
The sleight of hand. Were you adept at it too?
Mine was a different problem. I was a frivolous man, you'll agree? In fact, it never came up at all. I adore hunting, and only the Normans and their protégés had a right to hunt. I adore luxury, and luxury was Norman. I adore life, and the Saxons' only birthright was slaughter. I'll add that I adore honour.
And was honour reconciled with collaboration too?
I had the right to draw my sword against the first Norman nobleman who tried to lay hands on my sister. I killed him in single combat. It's a detail, but it has its points.
He could always have slit his throat and fled into the forest like so many did.
That would have been uncomfortable and not a lot of use. My sister would immediately have been raped by some other Norman baron, like all the Saxon girls. Today, she is respected. My lord, did I tell you? My new gold dishes have arrived from Florence. Will my liege do me the honour of christening them with me at my house?
Cold dishes? You lunatic.
I'm setting a new fashion.
I'm your king and I eat off silver.
My prince, your expenses are heavy, and I have only my pleasures to pay for. The trouble is, I'm told they scratch easily. Still, we'll see. I received two forks as well.
Forks?
Yes, it's a new instrument, a devilish little thing to look at and to use too. It's for pronging meat and carrying it to your mouth. It saves you dirtying your fingers.
But then you dirty the fork.
Yes, but it's washable.
So your fingers. I don't see the point.
It hasn't any, practically speaking. But it's refined, it's subtle, it's very un-Norman.
You must order me a dozen. I want to see my great fat barons' faces at the first court banquet when I present them with that. We won't tell them what they're for. We'll have no end of fun with them.
A dozen? Easy now, my lord. Forks are very expensive, you know. My prince, it's time for the Privy Council.
They won't make head nor tail of them. I bet you they'll think they're a new kind of dagger. We'll have a hilarious time. Here comes the deluge. Do you like hunting this way with hawks?
I don't much care to delegate my errands. I prefer to feel a wild boar on the end of my spear. When he turns and charges, there's a moment of delicious personal contact when one feels at last responsible for oneself.
It's odd, this craving for danger. Why are you all so hell-bent on risking your necks for that most futile of reasons?
One has to gamble with one's life to feel alive.
Or dead? You make me laugh. Quiet, my pretty, quiet. We'll take your hood off in a minute. You couldn't give much of a performance under all these trees. I'll tell you one creature that loves hawking anyway, and that's a hawk. It seems to me we rubbed our backside sore with 3 hours riding just to give them this royal pleasure.
My lord, these are Norman hawks. They belong to the master race. They have a right to it.
Do you love me, Becket?
I'm your servant, my prince.
Did you love me when I made you Chancellor? I wonder sometimes if you're capable of love. Do you love Gwendolen?
She is my mistress, my prince.
Why do you put labels onto everything to justify your feelings?
Because without labels, the world would have no shape, my prince.
Is it so important for the world to have a shape?
It's essential, my prince. Otherwise, we can't know what we're doing.
I'm sleeping in your room tonight. I'm frightened. Take half the bed.
I'll sleep on the floor, my prince.
No, lie down beside me. I don't want to be alone tonight. You loathe me. I shan't even be able to trust you now.
You gave me your seal to keep, my prince, and the 3 lions of England which are engraved on it keep watch over me too.
I shall never know what you're thinking.
It will be dawn soon, my prince. You must sleep. Tomorrow we are crossing to the continent. In a week we will face the King of France's army, and there will be simple answers to everything at last.
They're after me. They're after me. They're armed to the teeth. Stop them. Stop them.
Oh, my prince. My prince. Sleep in peace. I'm here.
Oh, Thomas, it's you. They were after me.
My prince. My prince. If you were my true prince, if you were one of my race, how simple everything would be. How tenderly I would love you, my prince, in an ordered world. Each of us bound in fealty to the other, head, heart, and limb, with no further questions to ask of oneself ever. But I cheated my way. a twofold bastard, into the ranks and found a place among the conquerors. You can sleep peacefully, though, my prince. So long as Becket is obliged to improvise his honor, he will serve you. And if one day he meets it face to face, but where is Becket's honor?
Good news, gentlemen. We have one enemy less. Becket!
Everything is going according to plan, my prince. The troops are on their way. We've only to wait here quietly until they arrive.
You're right, Becket. Everything is going according to plan. God isn't angry with us. He's just recalled the Archbishop.
That little old man. How could that feeble body contain so much strength?
Now, don't squander your sorrow, my son. I personally consider this an excellent piece of news.
He was the first Norman who took an interest in me. He was a true father to me. God rest his soul.
He will. After all the fellow did for him, he's gone to heaven, don't worry, where he'll be infinitely more use to God than he was to me. So it's definitely for the best. Becket, my little Becket, I think the ball is in our court now. This is the time to score a point. An extraordinary idea is just creeping into my mind, Becket. A masterstroke. I can't think what's got into me this morning, but I suddenly feel extremely intelligent. It probably comes of making love with a French girl last night. I am subtle, Becket. I am profound. So profound it's making my head spin. Are you sure it isn't dangerous to think too hard? Thomas, my little Thomas, are you listening to me?
Yes, my prince.
Are you listening carefully? Listen, Thomas. You told me once that the best ideas are the stupidest ones, but the clever thing is to think of them. Listen, Thomas. Tradition prevents me from touching the privileges of the primacy. You follow me so far?
Yes, my prince.
But what if the primate is my man? If the Archbishop of Canterbury is for the king, how can his power possibly incommodate me?
That's an ingenious idea, my prince. But you forget that his election is a free one.
No, you're forgetting the royal hand. Do you know what that is? When the candidate is displeasing to the throne, the king sends his justice to the conclave of bishops, and it's the king who has the final say. That's an old custom too, and for once it's in my favour. It's fully 100 years since the conclave of bishops has voted contrary to the wishes of the king.
I don't doubt it, my lord, but we all know your bishops. Which one of them could you rely on? Once the primate's mitre is on their heads, they grow dizzy with power.
You asking me, Becket? I'll tell you. Someone who doesn't know what dizziness means. Someone who isn't even afraid of God. Thomas, my son, I need your help again, and this time it's important. I'm sorry to deprive you of French girls and the fun of battle, my son, but pleasure will come later. You are going over to England.
I'm at your service, my prince.
Can you guess what your mission will be?
No, my prince.
You are going to deliver a personal letter from me to every bishop in the land. And do you know what those letters will contain, my Thomas, my little brother? My royal wish to have you elected Primate of England.
Huh? Oh, you're joking, of course, my lord. Just look at the edifying man, the saintly man whom you would be trusting with these holy functions. Oh, why, my prince, you really had me fooled for a second. A fine archbishop I'd have made. Look at my new shoes. They're the latest fashion in Paris. Attractive, that little upturned toe, don't you think? Quite full of unction and compunction, isn't it, sire?
Shut up about your shoes, Thomas. I'm in deadly earnest. I shall write those letters before noon. You will help me.
But, my lord, I'm not even a priest.
You're a deacon. You can take your final vows tomorrow and be ordained in a month.
But have you considered what the Pope will say?
I'll pay the price.
My lord, I see now that you weren't joking. Don't do this.
Why not?
It frightens me.
Becket, this is an order.
If I become archbishop, I can no longer be your friend.
Pull yourself together. You have an odd way of taking good news. Wake up! They say we can go in now.
This is madness, my lord. Don't do it. I could not serve both God and you.
You've never disappointed me, Thomas, and you are the only man I trust. You will leave tonight. Come, let's go in.
Yet it would be simple enough. Too simple, perhaps. Saintliness is a temptation too. Oh, how difficult it is to get an answer from you, Lord. I was slow in praying to you, but I cannot believe that others worthier than I, who have spent years asking you questions, have been better than myself at deciphering your real intentions. I am only a beginner, and I must make mistake after mistake, as I did in my Latin translations as a boy, when my riotous imagination made the old priest roar with laughter. But I cannot believe that one learns your language as one learns a human tongue by hard studying with a dictionary, a grammar, and a set of idioms. I am sure that to the hardened sinner who drops to his knees for the first time and murmurs your name, marveling, you tell your secrets straight away, and that he understands. I have served you like a dilettante, surprised that I could still find my pleasure in your service. And for a long time I was on my guard because of it. I could not believe this pleasure would bring me one step nearer to you. I could not believe that the road could be a happy one. Their hair shirts, their fasting, their bells in the small hours, summoning us to meet you on the icy paving stones, in the sick misery of the poor, ill-treated human animal. I cannot believe that all these are anything but safeguards for the weak. In power and in luxury, and even in the pleasures of the flesh, I shall not cease to speak to you. I feel this now. You are the God of the rich man and the happy man too, Lord, and therein lies your profound justice. You do not turn away your eyes from the man who has been given everything from birth. You have not abandoned him alone in his ensnaring ease. And he may be your true lost sheep. For your scheme of things, which we mistakenly call justice, is secret and profound. Plumb the hidden depths of poor men's puny frames as carefully as those of kings. And beneath these outward differences which blind us, but which to you are barely noticeable, beneath the diadem or the grime, you discern the same pride, the same vanity, the same petty, complacent preoccupation with oneself. Lord, I am certain now that you meant to tempt me with this hair shirt, object of so much vapid self-congratulation, this bare cell, this solitude, this absurdly endured winter cold, and the conveniences of a prayer. It would be too easy to buy you like this at so low a price. I shall leave this convent where so many precautions hem you round. I shall take up the mitre and the golden cope again, and the great silver cross, and I shall go back and fight in the place and with the weapons it has pleased you to give me. It has pleased you to make me archbishop and to set me like a solitary pawn face to face with the king upon the chessboard. I shall go back to my place humbly and let the world accuse me of pride, so that I may do what I believe is my life's work. For the rest, your will be done.
You look older, Thomas.
You too, Highness. Are you sure you aren't too cold?
I'm frozen stiff. Now, you love it, of course. You're in your element, aren't you? And you're barefooted as well?
That's my latest affectation.
Even with these fur boots on, my chilblains are killing me. Aren't yours, or don't you have any?
Of course.
You're offering up to God, I hope, holy monk.
I have better things to offer him.
If we start straight away, we're sure to quarrel. Let's talk about trivial things. You know, my son is 14, he's come of age.
Has he improved at all?
He's a little idiot and sly like his mother, Becket. Becket, don't you ever marry?
The matter has been taken out of my hands by your Highness. It was you who had me ordained.
Let's not start yet, I tell you. Talk about something else.
Has your Highness done much hunting lately?
Yeah, every day. And it doesn't amuse me anymore.
Have you any new hawks?
The most expensive on the market. But they don't fly straight.
And your horses?
The Sultan sent me 4 superb stallions for the 10th anniversary of my reign. But they throw everyone. Nobody has managed to mount one of them yet.
I must see what I can do about that someday.
They'll throw you too. And we'll see your buttocks under your robe. At least I hope so, or everything would be too dismal.
Do you know what I miss most, sire? The horses.
And the women?
I've forgotten.
You hypocrite. You've turned into a hypocrite when you became a priest. Do you love Gwendolen?
I've forgotten her, too.
You did love her. That's the only way I can account for it.
No, my prince, in my soul and conscience, I did not love her.
Then you never loved anything. That's worse. Why are you calling me your prince as in the old days?
Because you have remained my prince.
And why are you doing me harm?
Let's talk about something else.
Well, what? I'm cold.
I always told you, my prince, that one must fight the cold with the cold's own weapons. Strip naked and splash yourself with cold water every morning.
I used to, when you were there to force me into it. I never wash now, I stink. I grew a beard at one time, did you know?
Yes, I had a hearty laugh over it.
I cut it off because it itched. Becket, I'm bored.
My prince, I do so wish I could help you.
Then what are you waiting for? You can see I'm dying for it.
I'm waiting for the honor of God and the honor of the king to become one.
You'll wait a long time then.
Yes, I'm afraid I will.
If we've nothing more to say to each other, we might as well go and get warm.
We have everything to say to each other, my prince. The opportunity may not occur again.
Make haste then, or there'll be two frozen statues on this plain, making their peace in a frozen eternity. I am your king, Becket, and so long as we are on this earth, you owe me the first move. I'm prepared to forget a lot of things, but not the fact that I am king. You yourself taught me that.
Never forget it, my prince. Even against God, you have a different task to do. You have to steer the ship.
And you? What do you have to do?
Resist you with all my might when you steer against the wind.
Do you expect the wind to be behind me, Becket? No such luck. That's fairy tale navigation. God on the king's side. That's never happened yet. Yes, once in a century at the time of the Crusades, when all Christendom shouts, "It's God's will." And even then, you know as well as I do what private greed's a crusade covers up in 9 cases out of 10. The rest of the time it's a head-on wind. And there must be somebody to keep the watch.
And somebody else to cope with the absurd wind and with God. The tasks have been shared out, once and for all. The pity of it is that it should have been between us two, my prince, who were friends.
The King of France, I still don't know what he hopes to gain by it, preached to me for 3 whole days for me to make my peace with you. What good would it do you to provoke me beyond endurance?
None.
You know that I am the king, and I must act like a king. What do you expect of me? Are you hoping I'll weaken?
No, that would prostrate me.
Do you hope to conquer me by force then?
You are the strong one.
To win me round?
No, not that either. It is not for me to win you round. I have only to say no to you.
But you must be logical, Becket.
No, that isn't necessary, my liege. We must only do, absurdly, what we have been given to do, right to the end.
Yet I know you well enough, God knows. 10 years we spent together, little Saxon. At the hunt, at the whorehouse, at war, carousing all night long, the two of us in the same girl's bed sometimes, and at work in the council chamber too. Absurdly. That word isn't like you.
Perhaps I am no longer like myself.
Have you been touched by grace?
Not by the one you think. I'm not worthy of it.
Did you feel the Saxon in you coming out, despite Papa's good collaborators sentiment?
No, not that either.
What then?
I felt for the first time that I was being entrusted with something, that's all. There, in that empty cathedral somewhere in France, that day when you ordered me to take up this burden. I was a man without honour, and suddenly I found it. One I never imagined would ever become mine. The honour of God. A frail, incomprehensible honour, vulnerable as a boy king fleeing from danger.
Suppose we talked a little more precisely, Beckett, with words I understand. Otherwise we'll be here all night. I'm cold, and the others are waiting for us on the fringes of this plain.
I am being precise.
I'm an idiot then. Talk to me like an idiot. That's an order. Will you lift the excommunication which you pronounced on William of Ainsford and others of my liegemen?
No, sire, because that is the only weapon I have to defend this child who was given naked into my care.
Will you agree to the 12 proposals which my bishops have accepted in your absence at Northampton, and notably to forego the much abused protection of Saxon clerics who get themselves tonsured to escape land bondage?
No, sire. My role is to defend my sheep, and they are my sheep. Nor will I concede that the bishop should forego the right to appoint priests in their own diocese, nor that churchmen should be subject to any but the church's jurisdiction. These are my duties as a pastor, which it is not for me to relinquish. But I shall agree to the other 9 articles in a spirit of peace, and because I know that you must remain king in all save the honour of God.
Very well. I will help you defend your God, since that is your new vocation. In memory of the companion you once were to me, in all save the honour of the realm. You may come back to England, Thomas.
Thank you, my prince. I meant to go back in any case and give myself up to your power. For on this earth you are my king, and in all that concerns this earth I owe you obedience.
Oh, let's go back now. We've finished. I'm cold.
I feel cold too now.
You never loved me, did you, Becket?
Insofar as I was capable of love, yes, my prince, I did.
Did you start to love God? You mule! Can't you ever answer a simple question?
I started to love the honour of God.
Come back to England. I give you my royal peace. May you find yours, and may you not discover you were wrong about yourself. This is the last time I shall come begging to you. I should never have seen you again. It hurts too much.
My prince.
No. No pity, it's dirty. Stand away from me. Go back to England. It's too cold out here.
Farewell, my prince. Will you give me the kiss of peace?
No. I can't bear to come near you. I can't bear to look at you later, when it doesn't hurt anymore.
I shall set sail tomorrow. Farewell, my prince. I know I shall never see you again.
How dare you say that to me after I gave you my royal word? Do you take me for a traitor? Thomas! Well, Thomas Becket, are you satisfied? I am naked at your tomb, and your monks are coming to flog me. What an end to our story. You rotting in this tomb, larded with my baron's dagger thrusts, And I, naked, shivering in the draught and waiting like an idiot for those brutes to come and thrash me. Don't you think we'd have done better to understand each other?
Understand each other? It wasn't possible.
I said, in all save the honour of the realm. It was you who taught me that slogan after all.
I answered you, all save the honor of God. We were
How,
like two deaf men talking.
how cold it was on that bare plain at La Fertine Bernard the last time we two met. It's funny, it's always been cold in our story. Save at the beginning when we were friends. We had a few fine summer evenings together with the girls. Did you love Gwendolen, Archbishop? Did you hate me that night when I said, I am the king, and took her from you? Perhaps that's what you could never forgive me for.
I've forgotten.
Yet we were like two brothers, weren't we? You and I. That night it was a childish prank. A lusty lad shouting, I am the king. I was so young, and every thought in my head came from you. You know that.
Pray, Henry, and don't talk so much.
If you think I'm in the mood for praying at the moment.